Dear students, I hope you all are doing good. So if you all are aware, today we will be starting off with your part 4 of your first chapter. Okay, so in the previous slides and all, we were discussing about auditors, appointment of auditors, resignation of auditors, right? So from this part 4, we will be talking about rotation of auditors. So we will begin with rotation of auditors. Now what is rotation of auditors? Basically, as per section 139 to subsection 2, listed company or companies as prescribed shall appoint or reappoint. Okay, basically auditors can be appointed. Now first time auditor will be appointed, he also has the chance to be reappointed. Now when is the chance that he can be reappointed? When he is reappointed only, it is known as rotation. Okay, so now let us see in what conditions he'll be reappointed. First condition is an individual as an auditor for more than one term of 5 consecutive years. Okay, for more than one term, that is for 5 consecutive years, that is for the upcoming 5 years. Okay, an audit firm. Okay, in case if it is only an individual who is appointed, then it is for 5 consecutive years. In case an audit firm as auditor for more than 2 terms of 5 consecutive years. Okay, firstly it was 1 term in case if you are appointing for individual auditor. Okay, that is one term. If you are appointing an auditing firm to conduct an auditing, then you can appoint them for 2 terms for 5 consecutive years. Now you have to note certain things. Okay, that is break in term for a continuous period of 5 years will be considered as fulfillment of criteria of rotation. In case if there is any break, in case if the auditor, in case if the auditor is being removed, or in case if the auditor has fallen sick or anything as such, then that particular break will be considered as fulfillment of a criteria of rotation. Okay, you will bring in some other person, or you might or they'll have certain conditions or anything as such which they will be fulfilling as per that particular criteria. Next is the period for which the individual or the firm has held office as auditor prior to the commencement of the act shall be taken into account for calculating the period for 5 consecutive years or 10 years. Okay, 10 consecutive years, as the case may be in Rule 6, subsection 3, subsection I. Cooling period is 5 years for completion of the tenure. Basically, for any auditor to complete his particular period, it is 5 subsequent years. Okay, but in case the period, in case if the auditor has held office, now from what period to what period the auditor has held office, all of that will be calculated, and it will completely sum up to 5 consecutive years based on the working of the auditor. So this is about rotation of auditors. Next is other persons who cannot be appointed as auditor. Now let's see who are the people who are not appointed as auditor, who cannot be appointed as auditor. Firstly, a auditing firm having a common partner to other audit firm. Suppose if you have an auditor, if you're appointing an auditor for your company, and that same person is appointed as an auditor for the other company, you have a chances of fraud, you have a chances of theft, right? Theft of data, etc. Your other company is your competitor. So why would you want to appoint the same auditor who is also working for others, right? So you cannot appoint a common partner. Okay, common partner, that is common auditor who is working in one or more company. Okay, now firm having a common partner to other audit firm whose tenure has expired in a company immediately preceding the financial year shall be appointed as an auditor of the same company for a period of 5 years. But in case if the person who has been appointed as the auditor for the same for another company, but he has completed the period, okay, he has served 5 consecutive years and now he is not working for that company, only in that case he can be appointed for that position of auditing in a particular company. Okay, next, the incoming auditor or audit firm shall not be eligible if such auditor or audit firm is associated with the outgoing auditor or audit firm under the same network of audit firms. In case if there is, if the auditing firm does not consider the auditor as eligible, then he will not be considered as he will not be considered in for the appointment purpose. Next, if a partner who is in charge of audit firm and also certifies the financial statements of a company retires from the said firm and joins another firm of chartered accountants, such other firm shall also be ineligible to be appointed. In case if the auditor is firstly working for, firstly preparing financial statements of a company, then he leaves that company, he joins another chartered accounting firm, then that auditor will not be considered as eligible because he has not served his period. He's just moving from one company to another company without serving his purpose, without even completing his period of serving that particular purpose. Now, following companies excluding one-person companies and small companies. Okay. Now, following are the companies. So the first company is an unlisted public company, okay? Unlisted public company having a paid up capital of rupees 10 crore or more. So basically this is all eligible for these kind of companies, okay? This appointment and reappointment and who cannot be appointed as auditors are inclusive of this particular companies. Basically these particular companies will be following all the rules and regulations, okay? Firstly, it is an unlisted company, okay? Unlisted companies having a paid up capital of rupees 10 crore or more. Second is your private limited company having a paid up capital of 20 crore or more. Then third one is companies who have a paid up capital, okay? Companies who have a paid up capital, okay, have a paid up capital less than the mentioned amount, that is less than 10 crore and 20 crore, but having public borrowings. But these companies have public borrowings from financial institutions, bank or public deposits of rupees 50 crores or more. In case if the paid up capital is less but they have a bank borrowing of more than 50 crores or more, then they will also come into this particular category. Next is what is the manner, what is the way that the auditors will rotate, okay? This particular is being prescribed by the way of rules in section 139 subsection 4. Okay, this has been mentioned in this particular section. Now, firstly, the first manner is recommendation of name. Now, what is the recommendation of name? Basically, here the procedure depends upon whether the audit committee is required to be constituted or not. Firstly, the organization will see if the organization is requiring an audit committee that needs to be hired or not. Okay, if there is any sort of necessity. Okay, if the constitution required, then the committee shall recommend to the board the name of the auditor. But in case if the organization feels that there is a necessity to have an auditor, then if there is a necessity to have an auditor or an audit committee, then they will recommend the same the same message to the board of the board members, okay? Then they will also tell who can be appointed as the auditor. So, and they will also propose the name of the auditor who can replace the incumbent auditor on the expiry of the term. Now, this particular person whose name will be given, okay, he will be considered immediately after, if he is capable enough, then he will be considered after the retirement of the previous auditor. Once the auditor has completed 5 years, okay, suppose there is already an auditor who's existing in the firm, who's serving for the company, but he's already completed 4.5 years and there's just 6 months left for him to complete his term, okay. So before the completion, the company, if they feel that they want to make another person as the auditor and do not want to make him as the same auditor again, then they can recommend the particular auditor's name to the board, okay? Then the board shall consider the name and make its recommendation to the members. In cases where committee not required, then board itself will recommend the members, okay? In case now there will be certain recommendations which will be made by the board to the members based on who will be appointed as the auditor. Next thing you need to consider is your transactional period. For companies existing on commencement of this act, 3 years from such commencement, that is a basic period of 5 years only, okay? That is your transaction period for any company to appoint an auditor. That is basically he has to complete a period of 5 years. That is 2 years from the 3 years from the commencement of the business. So 3 plus 2 years, okay? Next you have the special rights. Now, what are special rights? Special right as per section 139 subsection 3, members have following rights after passing resolution in their meeting. Now, let's look into what are the rights that the members have after passing the resolution in the meeting. Firstly, in case of audit firm, auditing partner and his team shall be rotated at such intervals as may be decided, okay? The auditing firm, basically now audit partner will be now suppose if you are hiring a particular team of auditors, okay? Now you cannot provide the entire team 5 years of time, right? So they will work on rotation basis, that for suppose 1 year one auditor will work, next year the same team member will work. So similar way they will be working on basis of their appointment, okay? Next, audit shall be conducted by more than one auditor. So auditing is always conducted by more than one auditor. Now, why is auditing conducted by more than one auditor? Is basically because there are in order to avoid mistakes, in order to avoid errors, in order to avoid frauds, okay, if the same information is checked by one or more person, then it will have a greater effectiveness and efficiency, right? So that is why. And teamwork plays a more important role, and teamwork will also help you in getting the work faster, get done at a faster pace, as well as it will also help in reducing the cost and time. Okay, so this is about the special rights. Next, you have casual vacancy. Now, what is casual vacancy? Casual vacancy, as per section 139 subsection 8, any casual vacancy shall be filled by the board within 30 days. Now, suppose in case if there is an auditor, but he's because of certain situation that he has left, and there is a vacancy which is arised, like before completing his term, he has left because of certain things, or if he's removed, that is known as casual vacancy. Okay. Now, if the vacancy has arisen due to resignation of auditor, that is basically if the auditor resigns before his time period, okay, then such appointment shall also be approved by the company at a general meeting convened within 3 months of recommendation of the board. Okay. Now, for example, when does casual vacancy arise? In terms of death, in terms of resignation, if the auditor is resigning by himself before the completion. Next is disqualification. Disqualification means if the company is removing the auditor in case if the auditor has done any fraud, or if he's done any error or if he's created any offense. Okay, he will be disqualified. Next is failure of ratification at annual general meeting. Now, ratification resolution basically is the amount of this also amounts to casual vacancy. Okay, if he fails to recognize various things, if he's failing to attend the general meetings or anything as such, if he has any defects within him, then he will be removed, and when he is removed, casual vacancy will arise in the organization. Okay. Next, what is the tenure? Okay, now tenure is the conclusion of forthcoming annual general meeting. This is the tenure for the removal of the auditor. Next, you have the remuneration. The remuneration is basically set by the board. Okay, now let's look into what is the procedure. Procedure is intimate the proposed auditors regarding the intention of appointing him as auditor and ask whether he or she is eligible. Firstly, you need to propose a name of a particular person for an auditor who is qualified. Then you need to see if he is well qualified or not. Then next one is obtain consent certificate from the auditor. Okay, basically we had discussed this in the previous slide as well, right? Then obtain his consent certificate. Then if auditor, then you need to see if the audit committee has to be constituted. Then call a board meeting and approve the appointment of the auditor. Then next is file the name of the auditor with the ROC. Then what is the procedure in case if the auditor is removed and if there is a casual vacancy which is arisen? Okay. Next, in case of casual vacancy, again it is the same procedure. That is, you will propose a name of the auditor, then you will obtain a consent certificate. You will see if he is qualified. You will obtain a consent certificate. Then you will suggest the name to the committee. Then the committee will call a board meeting. Then appoint a auditor in casual vacancy. Then he will check the qualification, and if he will check whether he is capable of being appointed. Then based on that, he will call in a general meeting and he will appoint the same person as the auditor in terms of casual vacancy, and he will also register the name of the auditor who is appointed on the basis of casual vacancy in the ROC. Okay, it is the same procedure. Next is the statutory rights, that is the compulsory rights of an auditor. Now, what are the statutory rights of the auditor? Firstly is to access the books of account. Right to access the books of account is the main and most important right of the auditor. That is, every auditor has to be given the right to access the books and accounts of the company anytime when the auditor wants any information. Okay. Next is right to obtain information and explanation. Now, the auditor will have the right to obtain any information that he wants from the board of the directors or the company members or anyone as such who are working in the head departments. Okay, this is one of the duties of the auditor. Next is right to correct any wrong statement. Now, auditor, it is the important duty of the auditor that in case if he finds that any there is any wrong data or anything that is in case if he's finding any wrong entry in the balance sheet or profit and loss account or anything as such, he has the right to correct that wrong statement. Right to visit branches. Now, right to visit branches is basically if the company has one or more offices. Okay, suppose if one particular company is established in Vasant Nagar, okay, and they have a branch in Commercial Street, they have a branch in Rajaji Nagar, the auditor has the right to visit the branches of the company as well, because in case if he wants to take any information or anything as such. Then right to signature on audit report, it is the right of the auditor to sign and authenticate the report of auditing, saying that this report is authentic and it is done by himself, putting the date. The auditor has to sign the report. Then right to receive. Right to receive is basically this is the right to receive the notice for any types of meeting. Okay, it could be annual general meeting, and he has the right to receive the notices to attend these particular meetings. Okay, and he will also be a part of the annual general meeting or any meeting which is conducted by the organization. Then right to be indemnified. Now indemnified means compensate. Okay, right to be getting compensation, that is salary. Okay, the salary will be set by the organization based on whatever their proceedings are. Then right to be indemnified out of the assets of the company against any liability incurred himself. And basically he will also be in case if there is any right to be indemnified also means in case if there is any charges against the auditor, in case if the auditor in case if he says that in case if the organization is saying that he is doing an illegal activity or anything as such, he has the right to give evidences and proof to prove himself and save himself. Okay, that is, he has the right to say defend himself. Then next one is okay, the next one is right to have legal and technical advice. Okay, the auditor also has the right to seek opinion of the experts and take legal and technical advice also. Okay, these are the 9 rights of the auditor. Next you have moving on to the next topic, you have duties of the auditor. Now we will be continuing the duties of the auditor in the next part of the video.